Hey guys, I'm Swishtari, and this week we're doing an in-depth guide on Yamato in Deadlock. Yamato is an insanely fun character with tons of burst potential. She thrives on diving into the enemy team and keeping herself healed with her Crimson Slash and different Spirit Lifesteal abilities. She can dodge enemy abilities with her ultimate and keep her enemies frustrated by remaining unstoppable throughout the entirety of her transformation. In today's video, we're going to take a quick look at her abilities, the in-depth combos that you can use to maximize her damage, and a build order that really makes her explode in game. Yamato's one, Power Slash, is her main ability. She charges up a devastating sword strike that blasts opponents in front of her. Power Slash does the most damage the longer it's channeled. It can be cancelled early by pressing 1 or clicking. When using Power Slash to poke early, any damage is good damage. Cancel it early just to make sure that you get the hit in, and don't try and greed the full channel if you think the enemy is going to run out of the way. When playing Yamato, I will almost always dash before using Power Slash, so that way I'm moving while I'm channeling the ability. This move is called a dash slash. You can also use zipline momentum conservation techniques, like the zip dash, as Power Slash will maintain that momentum throughout the entirety of the channel. Yamato's 2, Flying Strike, hooks you onto the opponent and grapples towards them with a Flying Strike. You can use Flying Strike to chase down a fleeing opponent, you can use it to hard engage into a team fight, or you can use it on a lane creep or jungle minion in order to quickly zip away from a fight you're not confident about. High-level Yamato players will almost always cancel their Flying Strike just before it reaches their opponent. This is for a number of reasons. The first reason is that this doesn't do a whole lot of damage in and of itself. While Flying Strike does do some damage, you get much more damage out of right-clicking to burst your opponent quickly with a Mystic Shot, and then striking them with a light melee, or going straight into a Power Slash. The second reason is that Flying Strike cancels all of your momentum once you reach the target, leaving you a bit of a sitting duck as soon as you dive yourself into a team fight, for instance. You can see this with a quick demonstration in the sandbox, as if you Flying Strike at the dummy, it cancels all your momentum, and you won't be able to dash for about 0.5 seconds after you arrive at your target, leaving them ready to combo you with whatever they have to defend themselves. However, if you cancel the Flying Strike just before arriving at your target, you maintain the momentum of that Flying Strike, and you can dash to the left, to the right, immediately go into a Power Slash or a dash in some direction to try and move in a much more less predictable way. Yamato's 3, Crimson Slash, is what will really keep you alive in team fights. It heals you for 70 HP at base level per hero hit, and with its tier 2 upgrade will give you 10% max HP healed per hero hit. Crimson Slash, as well as Shadow Transformation, is what makes Yamato so sticky in team fights and hard to kill. It gives her a ton of sustain, and it combos well with items like Healing Booster or Spirit Lifesteal. Yamato's 4, Shadow Transformation, is one of the coolest abilities in the entire game. Yamato becomes infused with a Shadow Soul and turns into this red, shadowy Japanese demon that is unstoppable and impossible to kill. Shadow Transformation pretty much gives you every stat in the game. But most importantly, during the Shadow Transformation, you're unstoppable, which means you cannot be CC'd in any way. No stuns, no snares, no silences, nothing. Shadow Transformation also blocks all incoming damage and makes you invincible during the transformation period. Because of what this ability does, it's a very versatile, both offensive and defensive technique that you can use as you see fit as a Yamato player. There are 3 main ways that I use Yamato's Shadow Transformation, and I'll almost always follow a Shadow Transformation with a full combo. The first way I use Shadow Transformation is after a full combo. Shadow Transformation refreshes all of your abilities that you've used. While in a team fight, if I've just used my Power Slash and Crimson Slash, and I want to quickly avoid incoming damage and refresh my cooldowns, I'll pop Shadow Transformation and then restart my combo on the weakest enemy nearby. The second reason to immediately smash Shadow Transformation is to block any incoming CC, stun, or combo that might put you in a position where you'll be dead before you'll be able to use the ability. The most common instances of this are as if a Wraith has just ulted you and it's going to silence you, this will block that. If a Moen Krill is going to combo you, this will block that. If a Dynamo has come up into your team and looks like he's about to ult, this will block that and make you unstoppable. If a Bebop has hooked you, then once you arrive, you need to immediately smash Shadow Transformation to block incoming damage and quickly turn the fight in your favor. Outside of the offensive use of doing it post-combo, and the defensive use of using it to dodge abilities and incoming damage, I'll also use Shadow Transformation just to delay the fight if I feel like I'm creating space for my team and distracting the enemies long enough for them to turn the fight in their favor. There are lots of different ways to play Yamato, but if you really want to min-max your damage, you have to pay attention to the specific combos that you can use and try and utilize them effectively. Before we go into combos, let's talk about left click versus right click. Yamato's left click is a Fan of Knives kunai explosion that gets thrown at your opponent in a shotgun pattern in rapid fire. Yamato's right click is a triple bomb burst that gets tossed at your enemies and explodes on impact. Inexperienced Yamato players will see this as left click when I'm close, and right click when I'm further away for poke. This isn't necessarily wrong, but it can be used in much more creative ways than just this. While left click will give you more damage per second overall in a vacuum, right click can be used much more effectively to weave between abilities. This is called right click weaving. Because of the nature of the way items work in Deadlock, you want to hit your opponent with some left or right clicks during your ability combos to make sure that you're using things like Mystic Shot and the Spirit Amp from Soul Shredder bullets. And this is something you would only know if you tested it like I have, but the animation on the right click is extremely fast and can be used in between abilities in an instant. Because of this quick animation timing and the burst that it gives you, you should always try to hit the enemy with a right click before and after your abilities. The most basic combo you can do with Yamato early on is a right click dash into a 1 power slash. An intermediate combo would be a right click into a dash, into a 1, into a right click again, and then your 3 crimson slash. An advanced combo that comes online with your ultimate ability is to right click into a dash, into a 1, into a right click, into a 3 crimson slash, right click again, and then pop your ultimate shadow transformation, and then right click the enemy and then start the entire combination over again. Once it's shadow transformation, the combination happens much faster. It can be a bit of a pain to try and keep track of when to right click and when to use your abilities. I found that the easiest way to right click weave in between my abilities is to hold down my right click while I use my different abilities in order of the combination. Holding right click will not interrupt any of your abilities, but will immediately cause your character to throw the burst at the enemy if ever an opportunity presents itself. So all you have to do while holding right click is wait for those right click bursts to hit your enemy and then immediately use the ability that comes next in the combination. The full advanced combination, including ultimate and refresher, looks like this, and it happens by holding down the right click button and just hitting all the combination buttons in order, which is 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, refresher, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, and then pray. Holding right click is particularly effective coming out of Shadow Transformation, as it will use that burst the millisecond that Shadow Transformation ends. It'll still give you the ability to use Power Slash or Crimson Slash immediately afterwards. For Yamato's build, I've published my own build under Swishtari Yamato in-game, which has individual annotations under each individual item that will explain why you're getting that item, when you should get that item, who it counters, and what the purpose is of it. I'm not going to go over each and every individual item in today's video for the sake of brevity, but I will go over some power spikes and important decisions that you can make throughout the course of a game. The 500 items are relatively straightforward. Infuser is really strong right now and replaces items like Ammo Scavenger. It can be popped just before using your sword combo and power slashing your opponent into a Crimson Slash, or it can be used before a jungle camp to help maintain some spirit lifesteal. If you're losing lane early on, your defensive options are either Healing Right or Extra Regen. Healing Right is great as Yamato is a bursty character, and in between those bursts you can hide around different cover and try and heal up, and it also gives you just a tidge of spirit power, which I guess kind of helps a little bit but really doesn't mean a whole lot. However, if you ever get hit by an enemy hero's ability or bullet or a tower, it'll stop the Healing Right and you'll lose the ability to regen all of that HP. Extra Regen is a much safer option if you find that the enemy's poke is too much for you to be able to dodge, as Extra Regen is just more consistent, sustainable, and easy to maintain. Mystic Shot is your first 1250 item that gives you a bit of a power spike. It makes your right click weaving more explosive and it scales really well later on in the game. Right around when the first Guardian in your lane is falling, you should be trying to get Torment Pulse, your first big power spike, at 3k. You buy this early as it helps a ton with team fights as you maintain that pressure as you're around the enemy during your Shadow Transformation and your Spirit Lifesteal, keeping you alive and keeping you engaged in the fight as it's ticking on the enemy. It also helps a lot after one of the Guardians falls. As you start to ebb and flow in between jungle camps, you want to make sure that you have that ticking damage to help you clear those camps faster. The rest of the items are in order, and I skipped some items to go straight for my 6k item, which is Mystic Reverb. Mystic Reverb adds a ton of damage to your 1 power slash. It adds an AoE to it that explodes on the entire enemy team after it goes off. It has a really short cooldown, so as you weave in different abilities in Shadow Transformation to power slash again, sometimes you can reverb 2 to 3 times and during one fight. There's some situational items included here as well as annotations for which heroes they counter specifically and why. And some final items to end out the game with some more bullet damage as things transition away from spirit damage being more viable. Thanks for watching today's video. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Give the video a like if you get a chance. Subscribe to the Swishtari channel for more content if that's what you're interested in. Thanks and GG's.